I had just like, oh, I'm happy to get one.
Maybe we're at 20.
Yeah, 20. I knocked on two twice.
Yeah.
Like, man, it's 18, y'all.
Yeah.
So far out of it.
I know.
All right, how you doing?
She was trying to call it.
You do? I do now. Okay, gonna go ahead and call this meeting to order. So if I could ask everybody, please stand for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Chris Buckman. Here. Brandon Earl. Here. Andrea Kreifels.
Here.
Jason Newberry.
Here.
Deanna Garver.
Here.
Tom Henning. Here. Pat Zika.
Here.
Next thing on the agenda is the adoption of the agenda.
I'll make a motion to adopt the agenda.
Got a motion?
I'll second.
Okay, got a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise their hand. All those opposed, same sign. Okay, moving on, recognition of patrons and staff. Adam, anybody? All right. First discussion item, WHS land sale request. Adam?
Yes. Last month, the board heard from Reese Nichols, real estate company, regarding a potential request of interest on the small piece of land near Casey's that is currently district property. And so, somebody here this evening to speak on behalf of that, and come on up.
Yeah, for sure. And
Nice to meet you.
hey, I'm Ryan Cromer. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Hi, everybody. My name's Ryan Cromer. Tim and Ryan Kerr are on their way. They're
Yeah, Tim had said he was gonna be here, so.
so roads are a little slick, so they're taking it easy, I suppose. But
Sure.
so I'm with Scooters Coffee. My wife and I are franchise owners. We have just a quick background on me, I guess, before I get into Scooters. I'm from Western Kansas, Garden City, born and raised. Been living in Wichita now for almost 8 years. And my sister and her husband got into Scooters Coffee out in Garden City. So they own 2 stores there, Dodge City, Liberal, Great Bend, Pratt. And they just opened up Scott City, of all places, believe it or not, as well. So my wife and I kind of watched them for a couple of years, piggybacked off them, and became franchisees ourselves. So we own Valley Center, which opened up in July of 2021, Independence, Augusta, and Winfield just opened up 2 weeks ago today, actually. So it's been a fun last 2 weeks in Winfield. It's been rocking and rolling. But with that being said, we also have, when we joined on as franchisees, we bought territories, and Wellington is one of those territories. So right now, we're really just going through the site selection process, seeing what's out there. The corporate has gotten real stringent on what properties they'll approve. I mean, they want the prime piece of real estate with the most traffic going by in the morning hours, which in Wellington, there's, about a stretch this big on the highway east of the roundabout on the south side is really the area we have to be zoned in on. So the purpose of me coming to you guys is just kind of seeing what interest there is, or if there's any possibility. There's not a whole lot of options along that stretch of road on the south side, so we're just trying to, leave no stone unturned and see what opportunities there are out there. And we'd love to get a store open here in Wellington. If you guys have never been to Scooters, it'd be drive-through only, so just a drive-through kiosk. We would be looking to, 0.4, 0.5 acres ballpark. I know if you picture them in Wichita, they're a lot smaller than that. I wish they were still that small, but corporate's kind of getting pickier and pickier, and they want bigger sites. So that's the reason I'm here in a nutshell. What else? Do you have any questions or concerns, comments?
Questions from the board?
Are you open 7 days?
7 days a week. Our hours would be 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. except on Sundays, 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. that site. I mean, I have sat at that Casey's gas station and done traffic counts numerous times. I mean, it appears to be a pretty viable site in my opinion. There would be some challenges potentially with that dry pond, you know, I mean, and I've not taken this site to our corporate. I mean, they can do kind of a test fit and all this stuff. I've not gone anywhere other than here, so just so you guys are aware, I'm not like ready to, you know, buy, but just so you're aware, I mean, we would like to proceed with something, you know, as soon as opportunity presents itself and as soon as circumstances would allow. So ideally, from my perspective, I'd like to have a store here open in 2023 sometime. Hey guys.
Sorry, we're late.
No problem.
Do you think?
yeah.
Do you think, or have you checked in any kind of, like with the, drive in and out? Cause I know when Casey's came in, the state was just gonna allow one exit out of there. But the only reason that eventually they allowed that was because, the business that's also out there that's connected, I think it's RJ Corman. There was a business there. And so I didn't know if you've looked that far ahead.
I have not,
As the
yeah,
entrance.
yeah. And if there was, you know, mutual interest on your guys' behalf, then we would take the next steps. And,
I just know that was hard to get to,
yeah,
an entrance and an exit out of
and
Casey's.
I figured that, and I was kind of hoping in my mind, you know, we would need to approach Casey's, I suppose, and see if we could share an easement. I have no idea what that would look like, but there's ways, you know, kind of around those challenges. But yeah, working on running the highway, you got to get KDOT involved. It can be kind of a challenging process sometimes, but it's something we can definitely maneuver through.
The preliminary thought process would be to use that same entrance off of the highway that Casey has, and then take a left off of that access point. Now, we need an easement from Casey's, because I believe they own that.
I'm not sure about that. I
That's the way it looks, but that's kind of how we would try to do it.
Any other questions? That was my big question too, was the access to the highway. So you're planning on going off Casey's, so that was, I doubt if KDOT's gonna be too willing to have another entrance there onto the highways.
Yeah, I would agree with that. We were fortunate enough in Winfield, and we're right on Main Street, and we were able to have our easement is actually off the main street, turn off the 18th, and then turn into our drive. It's worked out really well for car stacking and the whole 9 yards, so.
Being that close to the high school, what are your thoughts about employment and potential for high school students coming in and working and that kind of thing?
I would imagine it'd be fairly similar to Winfield. I mean, Winfield, we have a mixture of high school and Southwestern college students. So how it looks right now is we hired about 28 people in Winfield, just enough to cover the whole gamut of shifts we have available. And so we have a group of high schoolers that come in, you know, when school's out, and they're kind of our closers, you know, 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. But I'd have to tally up. I bet we employ 12 high school students at this time, and then just as many college students, and then kind of a handful of others trickled in there. So, yeah, we probably definitely, you know, hire a handful at least.
Any other questions?
So the questions that the Strader family or the Meredith family brought up, that's something we'll all discuss later, or will be discussed now, or?
Yeah, I mean, I would say we give these guys an idea whether we want to continue to get information. Just,
Is the family that donated the land, their father's not in good health, and so, I don't know if you've shared all that with them or not.
no, I'm not sure.
I was copied on the email
Okay,
about that.
Okay.
Yep.
So,
Yeah.
they haven't quite made the decision, I guess, and then
Right.
Dee came back with some questions, so I didn't know if we discussed those.
As far as the land being donated, I mean, my immediate thought was, you know, whatever terms we agree upon, take half of it, put into a scholarship fund,
Yeah,
something like that.
great idea.
I'm just curious, from my side, are you guys just wanting to lease? I mean, if there is mutual interest and we wanna move forward in any way, shape or form, I mean, would selling or leasing be your preference would be one of my questions. Either way, I'm okay moving forward, but we just curious from my perspective.
I would be more, I would still personally be more leaning towards a lease, cause I still truly don't feel like that's our property to give away.
Yeah.
I still feel.
Understood, yeah.
Well, I mean, if the family would agree, I don't see how we could consider that part.
Right, I agree. The other side you get into is we're gonna have to lay some groundwork out now as what's the cutoff. Yeah, if someone else comes in and wants to build another half-acre business beside that, we're gonna have to.
I don't know how much we can have, I just,
I think we own right over to Casey's.
you know,
Yeah, I think so.
there wouldn't be room, any other room in there, is there? If you
I've
would
got
think,
it pulled
No,
up on
no.
Google Maps, and there's actually
but if you're gonna use their drive and it's just a drive through,
Yeah, we wouldn't have like an exit the back of our drive or anything, it'd just be a one way and one way out as far as, you know.
so how much room is there to the,
There's quite a bit more
East?
land
to the
that
east?
direction, but the access would be the issue.
yeah.
Just a couple of things off the top of my head in terms of volume, you know, car counts per day, that kind of stuff. I hope Winfield knocks it out of the park, Wellington would knock it out of the park, but right now Wellington's doing extremely well just because it's a new thing in town and everybody's coming to check it out. But they'll probably settle on an average of 300 cars per day coming through the drive, you know, give or take a few, of course. But, and just the towns that we're in, I mean, we like to be really involved. We do things we're right next to all the Valley Center schools on the north side of town. We do a lot of, you know, donations. We're involved in lots of things there. We're handing out hot chocolate at the Isle of Lights in Winfield this coming Sunday as the college, you know, push that up if you're familiar with that area. So just FYI, we try to be as involved in the community and the school systems as we can, just to be part of the town itself.
How close are you to the school in Valley Center?
All the schools are kind of bunched up. You got the high school, middle school. We're at 5th and Meridian, so if you're familiar with where the Quick Shop is up there, we're just right beside the Quick Shop. So in terms of miles, we got a elementary school catty corner from us. I can throw a rock and hit their playground. And the other ones are, you know, quarter mile to half mile north of us.
Is there any traffic backup or anything like that there?
Not at all, no. I mean, prior to us being there, sure, there's more, you know. The Valley Center is our lowest volume store. Day like today, it ran through about 175 cars, give or take. On the closer to the weekends, it'll do, you know, 250.
Now I'm thinking more during school than
Yeah.
weekends.
Our average,
Proximity so close to the school.
our average window time, so when a person comes in, orders, gets their food, drink, we're less than 2 minutes per car. So there's a 2 minute, again, there's some exceptions here, but, you know, so every car is leaving, you know, one at a time, 2 minutes apart from each other on average. So there hasn't been, even in Winfield on our opening day, we served over 600 cars and it was very manageable and it was spread out. But what we found is the smaller towns, the bigger towns, you have a huge coffee rush first thing in the morning, and then just kind of dies off. The smaller towns, people will come through and like feed their whole family and all throughout the day. So it's steadier throughout the entire day, which personally I like. They're not all, you know, bunched in a couple hours in the morning. Just, yeah.
Okay.
So what would you need from us to go to the next step?
Yeah, just an idea that, you know, this is something we would really like to pursue, because I don't want to, you know, do too much legwork up front and get approval from, you know, our corporate, and which is out of Omaha, Nebraska, you know, get KDOT involved, get site plans prepped and all that. If there's not an agreement or a tentative agreement up front.
So have you talked money to anybody yet?
Hasn't gotten that far.
What'd you say?
It hasn't gotten that
Oh,
far.
I thought you said that's my part. I'm like,
No.
I figured I'd just bring some coffee to your guys' meeting every. We call it good.
Well, I know the board's wanting to be respectful of the Meredith family, and so I know that the Meredith family was interested in, you know, how this conversation came out, and so I can kind of reach back and see kind of where things lie with them. And, you know, get a better idea. They were going to discuss that with their siblings, and I have not heard the end of that discussion yet. And so it was kind of this involved along with family discussion at the same time.
Absolutely.
So it's still kind of out there. So.
Yeah.
And we'd be happy to talk with them. I mean, if they have questions that they wanna ask us specifically, I don't wanna volunteer you around, but I think that'd be no
Of course,
problem.
I'm here to, I mean, my wife's a little better speaker than I am, and she's got the prettier face, but I'm here to, my wife was in I'm just a little more about us, you know, she was in education for 16 years total, mostly at Garden City, then some at Mays Middle School, and started this. I actually just joined the business officially about 2 months ago. I was managing overhead door company, so I was sending technicians out to your high school and middle school and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Have we ever had anybody ask before? I mean,
Not
over
that I'm
the years
aware of,
since we've
yeah,
been there?
Not that I'm aware of. Not sure if that
We
happened.
wouldn't have any reason to use the land, would we,
No.
that we can think of?
I don't think so.
I mean,
That's
I
why
think-
it's
I think if we
still,
did, we need to
that's
use it
why I'm
already.
still, there's two reasons I'm still leaning towards a lease. Number one, we still have control of the property.
Yeah.
Hypothetically, if Scooters decided to pull out and we're gonna sell the property, we don't know what's gonna end up there. I'm just looking, you
that's
know,
true.
here's, wish you the best of luck and hope it stays around forever, but
Yeah, from your side.
just
of
in
things,
case,
For sure.
that's why I just don't feel, it's another reason I don't feel right about selling it.
Yeah, I would echo that. I like the idea of the
Yeah,
lease
I
too.
thought that would have been.
That is a little bit of a dry detention pond or something there. I mean,
Yeah.
that was done for a reason, I'm sure,
Yeah.
as
Run
far
off
as
first.
impounding water, so we'd have to make sure we compensate as far as whatever you guys would reclaim out of that, so. Okay, so we kind of have a general consensus from the board as far as if these guys need to look elsewhere or if we're interested in potentially doing something, obviously depending or pending what the Meredith family ends up saying ultimately.
I'm in favor of that.
Chris?
I'm just looking at the daughter's questions and
Sure. Yeah.
she's really worried about the students, so I don't know if I'm in favor for a lease or a sell.
And just so you guys are aware, if it's a lease or a sale, that doesn't really, you know, affect my,
Right.
just so we're on the same page there.
I'm just curious what KDOT would say, you know, because the speed limits through there, you know, that's always been talked about. Anyway, I'm just curious how far they'll let you go, really.
Yeah.
But.
There's a lot
Checking
of
into it.
moving pieces that we don't have answers to, so.
And we're familiar, I mean, we've navigated these and all the towns we've been in so far. I mean, Independence Kansas is on a highway, we're on the main intersection in town, so we had to navigate KDOT through that. And yeah, so these are all things that I feel pretty good that we could, you know,
Work something out
yeah,
there.
yeah. As far as the speed limit goes,
You know, that's
Yeah.
been some concerns over the years since the high school was there. People like, don't put it there
surely
because
the
it's
high
on the
schoolers
highway.
aren't speeding into this school, are they?
No. Me? No, I didn't.
Okay, so technically it is a discussion item, so I mean, we don't really need to take action, but I think these gentlemen are kind of wanting a little bit of
Yeah.
direction as far as.
Yeah, and I'll be upfront with you, I mean, there are a couple other sites, I mean, you see a couple buildings for sale up around the roundabout, I mean, so we're corporate is requiring us, even if I was 100% sold on the piece in question we're talking about, I mean, they require me to do research on every piece of available property. So I can't guarantee that one of those may not be, you know, the lucky one, but, honestly, it kind of depends on what is available, what can play out quickest. I don't want to rush anything, so don't take it as that, but, like I said before, I would like to have a store open in 2023 if at all possible.
So Adam, I guess at this point, you can relay what was discussed here back to the family and then reach back out to these guys maybe? Is that how we wanna handle it?
I'm good with that, if the board's okay with that.
Yeah, my concern is just the safety on the highway.
Sure. I agree.
And can I ask, you just just the car, more cars pulling in and out.
Yeah,
you're
if,
saying?
pulling out, kids just,
Yeah,
Pull
it's
through there
just
and
so
pull out
close
the
to the
highway.
high school.
and they do that at Walmart. We've had accidents coming out of Walmart,
Right.
same kind of way
Just
out
like
there.
your kids walking, you're saying?
Yeah,
Yeah.
just, so that's all I mean, that's just my concern.
Do you like kids walk to school in the morning, or is it mostly after school foot traffic that you see?
I think most people drive, don't they? I don't see a whole lot
Yeah,
of.
I think if you try to make a left turn out of Casey's at the wrong time of the morning, you
You
are
can't
sitting
get out,
there a
Wow.
long time,
So
and,
you got
and you're
the
trapped because there's no other.
plant that has their trucks coming in the morning, it's a mess.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
It is a mess.
Okay.
But it might be one of those things where you can't make a left, so you just go over and get a cup of coffee while you're waiting.
There you go.
Why not?
Good for your business.
Right in your morning. In terms of afternoon volume counts, I mean, the afternoon, whether you, any way you slice it, in town or red, it is minimal. Maybe between the hours of 1 and 5 p.m., we average 15 cars an hour. Again, lots of variables there, but as a whole, 15, 20 cars an hour. Something like that.
Okay, so is the board okay with Adam kind of running a point on this, a little bit, getting some more information back to the Meredith family? And then kind of coordinating that between us and them,
Be happy to.
so not really taking any action, just kind of seeing what next steps are.
Yeah, for sure, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
I'll be in touch.
For your side of things.
I think we're good.
thanks, guys.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you.
You too.
Next thing on the agenda is athletic facility survey.
Yes, I think I saw Brett. Come on, sir. It is your go.
Really, it should be pretty short. Good evening, it's snowing.
Yes.
I think that Shelley sent questions out, and we want to formalize those questions up tonight so we can get them ready to get sent out.
Well, I think just the survey discussion in general, they haven't had a chance to discuss the survey at all.
Okay.
So I had sent them the survey and, from your discussion last month to, today, and see what the board's opinion is on that, and then we need to get Shelley involved, we can.
Yep, she stepped by phone, she's actually in another board meeting, but she'd be available by phone if you got any technical questions. But the idea is to, get those questions, agreed upon, consensus, so, we can get those sent out. And then, if, you guys wanna move forward with the survey, we'll send out those questions, get all that intel back, and then it'll help you give you a kind of a idea of where you go, what to do, and what direction you really wanna dig in deeper than what we have already. So, questions about how that survey works?
I thought it was just gonna be simple.
For me?
I thought it was just gonna be as simple. I mean, I don't know too many people that will open this up, read it, and not throw it in the trash.
We can make it as simple as you want it to be, Pat. I mean, we can, that's why that we're talking about, we can add, you can make it one question if you want to. This is just our ideas of what we've done in the past, but we need to get it to fit you guys in your community. So it can be one question, it can be 3 questions, it can be 10 questions, whatever you guys think what your constituents would do.
I think I got lengthy, I mean, those of you who are in the facility committee can talk about it, but I think, when Shelley was meeting with us, her recommendations were that we get demographic information from the people who, so that's what kind of lengthened the survey, is that recommendation based off of getting demographic data. So that we could tell who the people who are responding are, essentially. So that's kind of why it went from one question that the board talked about last month to multiple questions, so.
We should just pass the yes or no out at the last football game.
I think that's a big question is, what needs to be said is, do you want to keep the football field at Sellers Park for the tradition, or do you want to build a whole new stadium out by the high school? That's what I've been hearing around town, and that's what people have been asking me. I think that question really needs to be on the survey. Which do you favor? Do you want to keep it with tradition, or do you want to move it to new?
Okay, we can make it pretty simple.
I mean,
I mean,
it's a
that's
simple
question 9.
Pardon?
Question 9.
So you get to that question. Why does it matter if I play sports or not?
Yeah, I mean,
I
it's a
say
simple
football, not-
question. Do you wanna move it or don't you wanna move it? That number 9 is a lot lengthier. And you have to read and we have to go through all that, so.
Most of the people, if you're gonna send it to all the registered voters, most of them will have no clue what the facilities look like. I mean, that's my opinion.
I think that's a question on there, maybe if we talked about it. How often do you attend any of the events at any of the schools?
I mean, you can go to a basketball game and you can go to a football game and you can go to all these events and see about how many people continually.
Well, this is my opinion, again, this is your guys' fight, but I'm gonna tell you that, the more questions and the more stuff that you glean, it'll really help you guys make a decision. I mean, she'll cross-reference all this stuff, and the way those questions are asked, it's amazing what kind of feedback you get. I think the demographics is huge. I mean, that way you can tell whether it's the younger generation that wants to keep it or move it, or it's the older generation that wants to keep it or move it. She'll ask the same question a couple different ways, and you'll really get some good information out there. But again, this is your guys' survey.
Brett, do you have access to the two that she brought to that last meeting? I think that was really eye-opening when you
I
actually go through those.
Don't
She took them
have
with her,
those.
or did she leave them?
Did she leave them?
With her.
Okay,
She took them with her.
With her, yeah.
yeah.
I could have brought them with me if I would have known
Yeah,
that. God dang it.
I didn't know if she was gonna leave them here with the district.
No, she's actually in Mineola tonight.
That was really good, when you actually see how that's all put together, it is.
It's pretty powerful information, and that you can glean out of it. I would, again, we'll do whatever you guys direct us to do, but I really would think that asking more than one question is gonna dive into a lot more stuff than just yes or no.
Yeah.
And I agree with Chris, 2 questions is plenty. It seems mixed up. Are we talking football field? Are we talking football field, track, that area? You know, people that are filling it out, do they know that currently all of our athletic facilities are at Sellers Park? Do they know that, so that's a selling point, if that's what you want?
I don't know what they know
Track's not
about
at Sellers Park.
Huh?
The track's not at Sellers Park.
Well, in the general, I just said Sellers Park, meaning the general, it's all in the same area.
Question 10.
And I'll drive down 9th Street and get there.
That's that too.
So
And I have another option that I do wanna share before we decide.
I may be on an island on this, but that's okay. I think it's bigger than one question, because I think there's more that needs to happen than just the simple question of are we moving, are we not moving? Because if we stay where we're at, which I'm fine with that, but we're gonna have to do improvements to that facility beyond just a locker room. There's gonna have to be something done with the parking. We all know, everybody that's been to a game knows the parking is a mess down there. We need to do something different there. And then the difference between the moving or not moving is the moving addresses the track issue. So I think that's where that piece of it pulls in. Because if we build a new facility,
I see.
then that takes care of the track piece of it also. So I think that's the reason that gets pulled into it. And I agree, it does make it kind of messy, but you kind of got to ask that question, because just staying in one spot doesn't necessarily address all of our needs. Even if we build a locker room, we're still gonna have to put money into the track to address the issues there with the press box,
Sure.
the seating, the restrooms, all that stuff. So I think you kind of got to look at it a little bit bigger than just are we moving or are we not
But-
moving.
How long will all that take?
It's all gonna have to be done with
And
the bond
okay,
issue.
and all that's gonna be a bond issue, so then
Every bit of it.
then you need to ask yourself, is the bond issue gonna pass at this
Agreed.
stage?
How big is the
And
bond?
7 years ago,
What's the dollar amount? What's our figure gonna be?
7 years ago, a board sat here and it was put on the plan, locker rooms, every year, kept adding it. Locker rooms, locker rooms, locker rooms. The group got together And they did that. And Dr. Whitener, kind of, I don't know what all happened with him, but then COVID hit, it was in 2017. So regardless of what you do, we need locker rooms. And if I could share, Jason, what the committee did at that time, that's what I wanted to, so can I share with everybody? Sure. Okay. And just so you have the information I have, you can take one and pass it around.
Here, I can help you, I'm in the middle.
Actually, should we,
Yeah, that's gotta be made available to the public.
well, no, that's fine, but this is more
I
about
asked to be
the
on like
survey.
the agenda to
No,
do
no,
this,
no,
but
I'm just saying we're trying to
didn't
write
show
it
up.
up
Yeah.
for this part, and
I've
I
got
don't know,
plenty of
do I
people.
hand all these to
I liked it, Tom. I thought it was nice.
you? I didn't wanna hand you too many.
Do you want me to pass
If
them
anybody in
around
the
here?
public wants one of these, they're right here.
Here, I'll just.
So,
I mean,
are we still?
So this would be the option of staying where we're
okay,
at
let me just
on
talk
the
to you.
survey.
No, I was just seeing if it was under a different agenda
Okay,
item.
these
so
are
I could
the
write-
drawings.
Cause this is about the survey, and I don't have a problem with,
The committee, which, came up with. This is what it would look like in the park. Originally, the small little group that started, we thought we owned the parking lot at the junior high, the old junior high, we own that. So that'd be a great place to put it. Then, Jason mentioned that the city would like to be involved because they wanted restrooms down there, they wanted, a covered picnic area when they had a picnic in the park. And so Crusader Club, took this to the company that you see in there. I had it all drawn up, and it was decided, which, I just kind of realized this today, because I thought it would be put, help me if I'm wrong, Jason, to the south of the tennis courts,
No.
but it was gonna be, I'll draw it right here, I'll show you.
Well, it's gonna be at the old Girl Scout house.
Right, what I thought today was, okay, here's the old junior high. Let's see. Here's the tennis courts. Okay, so here's the parking in the junior high, which we own. That's the road, there's a road. Colby thought, the Crusader Club thought, the last time they met at the Memorial Auditorium, that it was gonna kind of run like this. Part of it was in the junior high parking lot because of pipes, because of some kind of, that was the last meeting at the, at the Memorial Auditorium. But there could have been more after that.
Yeah, I don't know that I was ever privy to any of that. I don't even know that it really made it that far in the city.
So, well, he said there were city people there, Dr. White was there were a couple guys from the city.
I think Jeremy was there.
Yeah, anyway, cause I thought it was, when the city wanted to get involved, I thought it was just over here to the south. But it kind of came at an angle like that because supposedly, pipes or whatever, I don't know. Sewage, water, electricity, gas.
Yeah, it actually needed to be closer to Ash Street.
So, and this building has, so that it could be used for many purposes. It has a kitchen, a dividing wall, a soundproof dividing wall, so that it could be moved back and forth, so that when the two teams were meeting, you couldn't, here, we're gonna do this next time, which would be great, but, it could also be opened up so that it could be used for meeting rooms or more activities inside. And there's a fund that will donate money to causes such as this, not to schools necessarily, but because it has to do with the city. But you have to have your plan complete before you go to them. They've helped us out a lot with other funds. So this would get you locker rooms right away. It wouldn't take a bond issue. And the city would have locker rooms.
Right.
At the time, this was gonna be close to $450,000, but that was in 2017.
So why do you think it wouldn't take a bond issue?
Because you could get the donations, you could get,
Okay.
I mean, you
We
could-
didn't get that before though.
Huh?
We didn't have the donations before when
Well,
we
no,
tried
we
this.
did, we didn't get it, it dropped.
Right.
And we don't know why, or whatever, but anyway.
Well, the funding wasn't there. I mean, they thought they were gonna get a lot of funding coming in from donations and that just didn't really
No,
materialize.
well, I don't think that's the reason. There was that dinner, Dr. Whitener had a dinner at the high school and brought in, people that had money, the businesses south of town. And then that's, of course, when naming, would you call it the, geez, I don't know what companies are called anymore, I call them the old company names. So, I mean, the Crusader Club would donate, this other place would donate, you could raise this money, if you get this money, we could go to our contingency fund, get it done. You can't wait 5 more years, we almost had 2 playoff games here, there's no locker rooms. There's nothing more embarrassing.
Okay, so to get that back to the survey point, would you wanna add that as an additional
I think we
question
should
on
add
the
that as an
survey?
additional
As a
question.
potential other option, like option C or whatever?
Well,
Does that make sense? Does that meet your intent?
it needs to be on there some, because
I guess it would be
that's
called
what the
the
plan
third
has said,
option.
the plan has, and I know we need to upgrade the entryway and the bathrooms over there. We don't have to have an artificial turf if our field was taken care of. Which, after talking to some people that take care of our field, when they're told there's no money for seed or fertilizer, they can't take care of it very well. The baseball field looks great, there's no reason the football field couldn't look like that if it was taken care of correctly. People are intimidated to come to our football field, but anymore, they just can't believe what they see. So
Okay,
this
so,
could, this was the main, and I'm not gonna get all shook up right now because this bugs me here. The plan for 7 years has been locker rooms. It never said, and I'm not saying all these things aren't great, they are, but to be held accountable, we need the locker rooms, because that has been in the plans for 7 years, locker rooms. Something should have been thought of, I suppose, when the building was sold, but, it's gonna take 5 more years to build anything major, huge at the high school, or to do the track and everything. You've gotta have locker rooms in that time. This would be a perfect thing. Because it could be used for so many other things, and the cost would not be millions and billions of dollars. Okay, I'll shut up.
So let's say we get all that fully funded, we still have a bunch of other work that we still have to do. So I
Absolutely.
think we still have to have a bond.
But you can get this first, because that's what's needed the most. And that's what's been on the plan for 7 years.
I think this locker room could be used by the tennis as well as the baseball players. If we move to build a new stadium, that facility would still be.
It wouldn't be a
able to
waste
used.
5
Yeah,
years from
it
now.
wouldn't be a waste.
But both of the other ways are gonna take years. And then if a bond issue fails, here we are again.
okay, so how can we tweak the survey to get back on the survey piece of it, which is what's actually on the agenda? How can we tweak the survey so that it accommodates that? So maybe add another question in there as, do we move, do we not move, or do we build a facility away from the stadium and the joint venture between the
Why do we
city
have
and
to have
the?
this, okay, why do we have to have a survey?
Because it's taxpayer money. And I
Nobody
don't wanna-
asked me if I wanted to keep the junior high Blue Knights or Crusaders back then, and that's money, that's red t-shirts, nobody asked me that. It was a decision, and that was a big decision. Do I want the junior high kids to be Blue Knights or go on Crusaders? Everybody wants the Blue Knights, but they're Crusaders, so everybody goes with that, no big deal.
So on question 10, it's saying like the first one, providing locker rooms at or closer to the football stadium. Would that be pretty much what she's saying? So like if all the patrons click strongly support for locker rooms and then strongly oppose everything else, we would take it they only wanted locker rooms. Is that how we would do
Yes,
that?
yes. This is more of a
So
survey
it's
to figure
already
out
on
here or
there.
there, basically.
Yeah, but I mean, it's also kind of like question 10, isn't that
Mhm.
kind of breaking it down what we
Yes.
want?
Yeah.
So if they strongly oppose everything but the locker rooms, then it would be, we're building locker rooms and that's where we're gonna go.
I would agree.
I mean,
So I feel like it's already on there.
people won't be able to understand this anyway, so.
Well, I would like to think they,
But look, read this. Okay, concrete improvements on the current football field, parentheses, Sellers Park and track, parentheses, Wellington Middle School facilities. There's so many people in the voting area that have no clue what those are or where they are. The
That's why
majority,
we're talking about tweaking. I mean, that's what we're discussing is what do we need to make this to do to this?
I don't know because it's so broad. The facilities are very good. No maintenance or upgrades are needed. The facilities are good. Minimal maintenance or upgrades are needed. Some maintenance or upgrades are needed. Substantial maintenance or upgrades are needed. I mean, I feel like I don't know, I think that's kind of weird to me.
Well, I think that if someone checks the facilities are very good, no maintenance, that you obviously know that they don't attend the games, and you can kind of, it'll show up in the survey, the report from the survey.
And that's how you learn to educate the people that are uneducated.
The people that don't attend sporting events don't want to be educated on sporting events.
They're gonna
I
be-
don't think. I mean, am I wrong? I wish you guys could vote out
I mean,
there
there's a
somewhere.
question for it, and I feel like, I mean, I'm just picturing all the charts and graphs and information that we're gonna get from asking all of these questions, and we're gonna see, you know, exactly who is gonna support us and exactly who isn't gonna support it. And we'll be able to target our campaign or whatever towards the people that aren't gonna support it so that we can gain their support.
Brett, would you be able to see if she could maybe get the board a digital copy of that or mail? The
Sure.
thing is, if she mails it back
Sure.
here, it's
Sure.
gonna have to take time
Can I
out of.
share,
no,
can
no.
I share the survey with the audience just because we had to share everything else? You guys wanna just kind of read this?
Sure, absolutely. We can send you, matter of fact, that's what we're doing tonight at Mineola. They're having a bond issue, and we sent out a survey for the whole bond issue. I'm just telling you, the information you guys get back. hey,
Oh,
it costs
the
nothing.
samples that are she had done.
It's incredible that the information that you can glean out of that,
Right.
it'll help you to kind of, even when it talks about a bond issue. I mean, we've done it for district after district after district, where, yeah, I'm gonna tell you that if you send out to every registered voter, you hope that you get 20% back. You hope. And if you get 20% back, that's considered a pretty good sample. The other thing too is we do it digitally for the younger generation. We also do it pencil and paper for the older generation. Try to get all of the demographics, and that way you can find out really who's interested, who's not, what they want, where it's going, what's looked like in 10 years. I mean, the information that you get is just pretty valuable.
So on question 8, it says, which statement best describes your beliefs about the current condition of the high school locker room facilities? I don't know too many people have been in the high school locker rooms, so,
That's exactly what you're trying to find out.
but how would they know?
What would you
They
feel?
probably won't. But that way it tells you guys that, hey, nobody knows. We need to educate everybody that this is the shape that they're in.
There aren't any, that's what we need, somewhere on here, it needs to say that. Instead of there's no access to.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. We're here to, these aren't the questions I say we're gonna send out. This is for you guys to add, subtract, edit. We're just trying to help you guys.
Maybe it would help if, like, on that question 8, there was an option that said, I am unfamiliar with the facilities that are currently available.
Absolutely. You bet, absolutely.
okay, so who's writing down the questions that we want?
Well, I said, somebody needs to take notes and edit this how you want and send it back to me.
Okay, so question 1, do we wanna add the students?
Yes.
Okay, so question 1,
Do
we're
you
gonna add
wanna
the
move it to,
students.
do you wanna move all your facilities to the new high school? Do you wanna leave them where they are, or do you just? Students don't vote, I mean, they're not voting.
Okay, but we're gonna put this on USD 353.
Okay.
So
I
like,
didn't know
that's
what
what
you meant. I
we're doing that,
misunderstood.
right? I hope we're doing
This is
that.
gonna be amazing, I think.
So just but we don't wanna get the like, our
We're
young
just making it
generation
all
of what they
registered
want.
Well, yeah, cause the high school students could conceivably be the ones paying this for this through their
But I mean,
taxes by the time
we
it
have
happens.
18-year-olds in high school.
That's
the
why it's
register?
important to do the demographic question. I think it's
Yeah.
very
Which
important
one
to
is
have
the
the students.
demographic question? I don't-
Number
Oh,
one.
number one, number two, number
Number
three,
three.
number
Number
four.
four.
For example, let's
I
say
don't
that
You guys are all for this.
you give it to the
Can you
students.
describe your
That's what I'm
relationship?
sad, because if you had the book,
I'm
that,
not questioning my,
It's
I'm
not-
thinking
Do you
demographic.
have kids? Do you have
you're
kids in
picturing,
the
like, what I
school?
pictured is we're gonna get this Excel spreadsheet with 50 tabs.
Might be
They have these graphs and pie charts.
It's cool.
It is
No, I'm not
unbelievable.
questioning it. They've already had their meeting. They've already
I know.
been presented with
How are
this
you
and
two?
this.
Okay.
They're not
Yeah.
coming in here saying, we don't like
Yeah.
it.
That's a
And,
demographic.
you know what, I
took
was
it as
100% against it until I
Okay,
saw
hold
it.
on a second. We got too many little side conversations going on.
Yes, I agree.
Get back on the track here. So,
Can I make a recommendation?
yes, sir,
Yes.
please.
We have, I'm going to be requesting a planning session later on this meeting, and this would be a great topic for us to do.
And I think we should make sure the public can be invited to that.
There are some
I
public
know, but I
public
think, okay,
meetings.
we just need to send out flyers or something.
It will be, they're public meetings.
Flyers, I said.
Flyers?
Adam, could we please have a planning session on this?
Yes, we can add that to our
That
next,
would actually-
our planning session
Why don't you
topic
make a
that's
motion
later in the
about
meeting.
that?
Okay, Jason, could I make a motion that we add a
Please.
planning session for discussing the survey?
You have a date on that?
November 29th, I believe,
That
at
works,
6
everybody?
o'clock is what I was going to recommend. And if you wanna go ahead and take care of doing restructuring that night as well, then that would be great.
I won't be in town. But
You
tell
won't
me.
be, okay.
Thanks, Blake.
So I can send out dates then. Why don't I send out dates?
Send out dates?
Yep,
Okay,
I'll send out dates
so a tentative planning session
on athletic survey, athletic facility survey and restructuring,
and restructure.
please.
Got a motion?
I'll second it.
Got a second? All those in favor of having a planning session at a date to be specified and published for athletic facilities and restructuring? Signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Or raising your hand, whichever, because I get confused. All those opposed, same thing. Okay,
Thank you.
so we'll wait on Adam to get us a date for that. And we'll keep this thing moving forward. Right,
And
Pat?
if you could either get the,
I'll see if
get the
Shelley can
reports
come
or
to
see if
that.
Shelley can come to that.
That'd be okay. We'll figure out a
Wait a
date.
second, how come we never
absolutely.
sent surveys when we were building new schools and stuff?
I don't know. I wasn't on the board when that happened.
I wasn't there.
We can also send you, I'll send one to Adam, the digital copy of one.
Oh, she can get the digital copy.
I
That'd be
think the
great.
question should be, would you support a bond issue?
We'll invite Shelley to the meeting.
Yeah.
That way it'll work out.
The only thing, this is, you guys are going down, I think, a good path. I mean, the information you're gonna get is really, really valuable. And especially, not only just for the athletic field, you'll get a taste, you'll get a flavor of a bond issue.
Yeah, yeah.
By that?
Absolutely. I mean, if everybody says no, you kind of see where everybody's going. But we will send out, if you guys would like us to, that's what she's doing in many all the time. Send out a bond issue, survey about the whole bond issue, and it's pretty cool.
Do you get paid by how many surveys you send out?
You know what we get paid for, Pat? Zero. We're doing this to help you guys. We're not charging you nothing, haven't charged anything. We're trying to help you guys. The reason we brought the survey up is because I was listening and it didn't seem like everybody we weren't making any headway what to do. And so everybody says, well, what's the community want to do? Well, this is the best way to find out what the community wants to do. And it costs absolutely nothing. Nothing.
And I appreciate that. I like having information so I can make informed decisions.
Yeah, and that's the deal. And you know, she brought up the students. I'm telling you, the students is a big part. They know what the facilities are like. And I'm gonna tell you that some of those students are gonna pay for this. Especially if you voted on this next year, some of them seniors are gonna be able to vote. And
A
so
lot of them can right now.
it's a big deal.
Good stuff. Any other questions?
Thank
I think
you.
we got some work ahead of us. Thank you.
Another
for the
day, I'll send you
information.
one, I'll send you that digitally, then you send out to everybody.
Good.
Thanks, you bet.
Thanks, Brett.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.
Next item on the agenda, middle school wrestling cooperative agreement request.
Yes, we have a request from South Haven School District, and their board has discussed this for a cooperative agreement for one of their students who is interested in wrestling. South Haven does not currently have wrestling as a program, and so they're requesting to come up here and wrestle for the middle school season. So that is up for discussion this evening by the board. The middle school wrestling season has already started. Unfortunately, this request came to us later than I would have liked. I would like to give you more time, but that's not the way it played out. So that's a request being made by another district cooperative with us. So
Could this be a one-time thing or a permanent thing or?
they've only asked for a one-time thing that I'm aware of.
Any other thoughts, discussions?
My thought is if we're gonna do for one, we do for all. We're telling the Christian Academy no, but we're looking into saying yes to South Haven. We do allow one of our students to go to Winfield. So I believe if we're wanting to co-op with other schools, we should be able to allow them to co-op with us. I don't like that it's case by case. I think it's either a yes or no, and then if we have the spots, that's how I feel it should be.
I agree with that.
I do too. Does anybody know why we said no to the Christian Academy?
That was a long time ago.
I think it's just because they don't get funding for their students is probably what the board had decided at the time. So, that's all I remember anyway.
I mean, would we
Somebody
require
who
the
was on the board
student
at
to
the
pay
time might be able to
ours
say that better.
Don't they pay us? Don't they pay us?
an athletic fee?
You
Would
can
they pay the
charge that.
athletic
I
fee?
don't remember if that was part of the conversation back then or not. I don't know. I don't remember. It was a long time ago. I don't know if Jason or Pat or.
Yeah, I don't either. I was actually probably on the board, but I can't remember, so.
Yeah.
But I do remember it coming up. And
No, I think we need to open it up for everybody as long as we're getting, we don't need to make money, but we need to be compensated for it, and if there's spots available. Or leave that at the coach's discretion, or,
Yeah, it's usually at the coach's discretion, how many they keep on a team.
well, as far as
And athletic director, obviously.
the students from other schools. But then I guess there's gotta be an appeal process if the coach tells a kid no, that they can bring it to the board level and we can figure out why, if there's just not spots or something.
Ella, do you have anything to add to this discussion? or-
It just kind of goes sport by sport. So like wrestling, they don't make any cuts. So like they would just be a part of the team. And this particular situation, Jeff did say we would keep him at kind of the JV B team level, and he would just say, "Hey, I got these extra kids. Can you match them up?" And so that's kind of how middle school wrestling will work. He wouldn't really take a varsity kid spot. He would just be on our JV team, and then he would get with the other coaches and try to match them up weight wise and stuff like that. So it does kind of go sport by sport. You know, if you're looking at basketball, they're probably making cuts. A lot of our sports don't, and so
So if the Christian Academy, for example, because I see that it says no, if they wanted to run cross country instead of going to South Haven, could they co-op with us?
well, if South Haven has a team, they have to go to South Haven. And so right now, like that's kind of why this was presented is they don't have a wrestling team. And so they want to wrestle at the middle school level before they get to high school. They have it at their high school, but they don't have the wrestling.
So she's asking about the Christian Academy here in
Oh, okay,
Wilmington.
sorry.
Yeah.
So they don't have a team, right?
No.
So then, yeah, we could co-op with them.
And like the cross country, you take as many as you want.
Right, correct. They
So
don't-
they would have to go to South Haven to run cross country. They could come here and
They
wrestle.
could- Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, if we co-opt with them.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't
Okay,
understand that.
it's okay.
And they stop at middle school anyway.
Yeah,
so,
sixth grade.
So we wouldn't be affecting high school with that, so.
And most of your middle school sports don't start until
Right,
seventh grade.
right,
anyway, so,
right.
For the most part.
Okay, so I got-
One of the big
They go to South Haven to run cross country.
For sixth grade, but not seventh.
We don't have sixth grade cross country.
We don't have sixth
Right.
grade.
We don't.
That's where,
Why?
We have no
used
sixth grade
to, we don't have
We
sixth
used
grade
to,
sports.
yeah, from my understanding, they used to offer it to sixth grade runners to try and encourage them to run seventh and eighth grade year. And talking with the cross country coach, it actually kind of did the opposite effect. They found out, that they didn't like it, and so the numbers kind of dropped, and so they stopped offering it to sixth grade.
regardless, I think we should open it.
So I gotta bring this up, and I may be the only one, but it just kind of bothers me that we're we're just pigeonholing anybody that comes out of district to automatically JV. I feel like a lot of these sports are team building exercises, and part of being a team is you work as a team. And I always had to challenge people to try to get to varsity. I struggle a little bit with just saying that you're going to be JV, period. But
I agree with
I'm
that.
fine with it if that's the board's decision, but I just struggle.
I don't think that's really a
I don't
board
think anybody
decision.
says that.
Well, that's what this says, is that they will only wrestle JV.
That's
I think that's what the coach said,
The
Yeah.
coach said that.
because that's what he would.
Because that's what-
Okay, so we're not saying that. So
No.
if we have,
That-
so if we had 5 kids from the Christian Academy come in that were ballers and they jumped on the team and they took all the varsity spots.
That's
That's
the,
up to the coach, I think.
that's,
Okay.
well, no, that's the topic though, it wouldn't be up to the coach, I mean, if we have, Christian Academy students coming to our schools. and
Which
we
that
get-
doesn't really work, cause it'd be smaller kids anyway. I mean, you're talking they only go to 6th grade.
Right,
You know,
but let's say
for
it
the
was,
example,
let's say it
correct.
was bigger, but from
Right.
other schools, okay, so if you have this student from South Haven come to, and they do varsity, even though it's middle school varsity.
Right.
Then they could potentially take the spot of one of your Wellington students, so, cause they would go wrestle at whatever weight class in, varsity tournaments. If you have them just do JV, then they are just taking, they're just taken to different wrestling events and they're given extra matches because they're JV. So the coaches are bringing extra kids and trying to get extra matches with them, but it's not necessarily the team point, knocking each other out, varsity part of it.
So I
It
agree.
comes down to whether you are, as a board, okay with, any of that drama coming back your way with a Wellington student potentially being knocked out by a student that's coming from a cooperative situation.
So I
We'd
agree
be
with
like
the
Derby
comment
and
of
let everybody come, then we'd be like Derby.
right. So I agree with that
That's what
comment. If
Derby
it's an
does.
all or
Anybody
nothing
can come.
thing. So it's not just gonna be this instance where we have a wrestler coming from South Haven.
No, I
And
think,
they're agreeing to do JV. It's gonna be the next, and you're gonna have a kid that's gonna be competing for that varsity spot.
You're pretty limited on sports as well, because everybody's got basketball, everybody's got football, they have to
True.
play in their own district at that point. So
True.
you're looking at tennis, you're looking at,
But they don't have to, they can
JV.
come here.
not if they have their own.
If they have
Yeah,
their
they
own, they
can.
have to participate at their
Yeah, they
school.
have to
Okay,
participate
okay.
at their school.
Yeah, that helps explain that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, you're not gonna knock basketball
Yeah,
out, because
yeah.
everybody's got
They have
basketball.
open
You're looking at the tennis, the
So
cross
they can
country,
Is that,
well,
Yeah.
but we
a lot of
don't have
people are
open
cross
house.
country.
I,
As far as those, not the Christian Academy, we're talking about public
we
schools.
might.
yeah,
Right.
I
So
just saw the Christian Academy.
Basic balls kind of back and forth on
Okay.
some schools, so.
Yeah, I feel better about that.
Yeah.
But, at
Okay.
the same time, we have a student that co-ops in Winfield and we wouldn't want them to be knocked down and be pigeonholed. We
I
want them to
agree.
be able
I
to
think-
win and
Right.
represent, so
But that person, isn't that person wrestling as Wellington? Swimming as
The
Wellington?
JV part.
So
That's my question.
will this
Yeah.
wrestler be,
she
will this
represents
wrestler be
Wellington,
South
doesn't she?
Haven?
I think at this point, the reason that we've already started the season, so we're halfway through, and so if we say yes to them coming on, we're just saying JV for the rest of the season, and then the next situation, they can compete for that varsity or
Okay.
a spot or anything like that.
But like if you had, I don't know how many people can be on the wrestling team, but if you're full, then you're just gonna tell that person, sorry, you can't co-op because we're full, right? That's how we're.
No, I think for this season, since we're about 3 weeks in, it would just be a JV situation. The next season, it would be if you're in that weight class, I could challenge you whether I'm from South Haven or Wellington,
Okay.
and then I can be the varsity wrestler for
I'm
that
fine with
spot.
that.
I am too.
It's kind of like you were just saying with the swimming situation down in Winfield. We want our kid to be the top dog down there, so she challenges, she has good times, all that kind of stuff.
So this is a little bit off topic.
This is
but
this is a different situation because of
Right.
this season and where we're at time wise.
the
The JV.
swimmer in Winfield, are they swimming
Good
under
night.
Wellington or are they swimming for
Can I
Winfield?
chime in?
Yeah,
Yeah.
go for it.
Can I chime in? real
Sure.
quick? So, like our swimmer that goes over to Winfield,
Right.
when during the season she swims with the Winfield team, but when it gets to postseason, she has to represent Wellington.
Really? Okay.
Same way when in tennis, like there's a girl from Rossville that plays for Topeka Hayden. She'll go to the tennis meets with Topeka Hayden. She doesn't pair up with she plays singles, but when they go to postseason, she has to compete in 3-2-1A where Topeka Hayden's 4A. So at the high school level, that's how it's done with like these individual sports. Team sports, I don't like if they co-op. I think Andale and Garden Plain co-op for baseball or softball. But then on that, I don't know if they have to increase their enrollment with the
I-
two schools.
Yeah.
So that's something which Wellington, we're not gonna increase our enrollment, even adding like a South Haven or something. Now, if we added like a Winfield and we were doing a team sport, then we may bump up to like a 5A or something like that, but, so that's kinda how that works.
Yeah.
Middle school, not as big of a deal.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Sorry, I didn't mean to get us off track there. I think it's a great deal. I think we ought to offer it. I think it's great we can offer it. I just don't want to set us up for other stumbling blocks down the road, so I want us to.
Can we,
This will be something that can be reversed. If we decide this was a bad idea, we can tweak it.
Okay.
Do we
can we
need
like
a
approve
motion?
this one and vote on this one and then,
That's
Talk
exactly what I
about the
was
whole
thinking,
thing,
but that's
you know,
exactly what I
talk
was thinking.
about this
Continue the
issue
discussion.
as a discussion?
And then, the fee could be the regular athletic fee, right? Yeah.
You're comfortable with that?
So, like Adam said, season's already started, so this is a little bit time sensitive. So I would entertain a motion if anybody's comfortable doing that.
And this
I
motion
move
would
it.
be for the student account, sorry, Pat, to come wrestle JV this year.
Yeah.
And,
Right.
and then we can continue working on this.
I move we let the boy from South Haven wrestle the middle school JV. Club.
I'll second.
Okay, got a motion and a second. All those in favor raise their hand. All those opposed, same. Awesome.
Okay, thank you.
Cool. Thanks.
And we wanna put that on the
Yeah.
agenda for
Just
next.
kind of maybe pencil that
We'll
in.
move it on, yep.
Is all that, those three things will be at the same night? The,
No.
I think
don't
we'll put this on an official
Yeah.
board
Yeah.
action
oh,
item
board
next
meeting.
month.
I
Okay.
think there's a little,
I thought you were
uh,
talking about the planning session.
I think there's a little staff work that has to happen on that before it comes back to us. So.
Yeah. And it would be good to hear from the public on
Yeah.
anybody who's listening to this
Yeah.
as well.
Okay, the next thing on the agenda is
Here, I
the,
think the rest are here, I think it's in the hallway.
yeah, I think I was here. I saw his dad. I think.
Oh, okay. Cody.
Next thing on the agenda is the Crusader bus. And I
Yes.
believe we're gonna table that
We're gonna
tonight.
table that this evening, yes. Colby and I did not get the information in that we were told that we were gonna get today, so we're
Okay,
We need to make
so
a
we're
motion
gonna-
to table that, Jason.
gonna table that.
well, actually, no, don't, because it's just a discussion item.
Okay.
Isn't it?
I don't know how
I
this
think we're
works.
just.
Yeah, I think we can just table it.
I was hoping this was the board instruction manual.
Yeah, yeah. Next thing on the agenda is the facility rental waiver.
Yes, this was a discussion last month, with the facility rental fee, the facility rental agreement, and the board had, changed that to, adopt, the fees for, private teams, that was not originally on the document, so we were looking for some structure within that last month, and so the board had changed that, and, Mandy, Ramos is here to, discuss the board tonight, to discuss that, and, facility waivers, reduction / et cetera. Thanks, man, appreciate it.
Hello, everyone. I'm Mandy Ramos. If you don't know, I was the varsity head coach this year at the high school. It was my first year. Really exciting. If you guys don't know me, my maiden name is Zika. I grew up in Wellington. Played volleyball here. I know. Do I say that or not? I'm not sure. I'm kidding. I grew up here, played volleyball here, and then I went to college and played volleyball. And I've coached Wellington Slammers Club for 4 years. I coached it 2 years before I got married and moved away. And then my husband and I moved back recently to Wellington to start our family. And I'm very excited to have the head coach position at the high school for volleyball. And so now I've coached club the past 2 years and I'm also coaching this year, but I'm also taking on more of a director role. So I'm going to co-direct with my assistant coach, Stephanie Hopper. And so we're just, in years past, there has been no fee to use the gyms. And I've gotten a lot of pushback from parents with our dues, what they are already, which is not much, but we have some demographic in our club that can't afford even to play club. And I hate that money is an issue. If these kids want to play, I want them to be able to play. And so we have a lot of interest. We have 4 teams, which is more than we've ever had. in previous seasons, and a lot of them are middle school kids. I've got 8 8th graders, 8 7th graders, and 8 6th graders. And so I'm really excited to start working with these kids early on so that we can build this program. That's what I want to do. I want to build our high school program, and that's going to take getting down into these younger kids. And it's hard when I have to tell them that we're going to have to raise dues even more on top of just inflation in general. And that's something that we've been able to pride ourselves is that we don't have large dues compared to Wichita teams that you're having to commute back and forth, pay gas. They practice in Wichita. They have to drive back and forth. But in Wellington, they just get to, it's a lot cheaper for them to stay here. We can keep costs down. So I just want to know if there's any kind of compromise for the gym rental. In December, we will be using it 8 times. We'll practice one night on the week in a weeknight and then one weekend. And then going into January and February, that's when our tournaments start. So we would only need the gym 6 times in those months because we will practice one night a week during the week. But then on the weekends, we'll alternate with tournaments. So we're not going to be utilizing it as much as I don't think $250 is reasonable for my club to pay for that. So I was just wondering if there's any kind of compromise. I might, like I said, my assistant is Stephanie Hopper. She's a USD 353 employee. I know they have access to like the weight room and that kind of stuff. I'm also the coach of the high school team. I'm trying to build this. Is there any way that we can, I know you guys have to there's money involved. I get it. But is there a way that it is not that much? Can we figure something else out?
Could I chime in on this too? I'm also here for the same thing that she's on. We coach a competition basketball team of little girls ranging from 4th to 5th grade, Wellington Cobras. We've been doing it. I've coached Tiger team that was a competition ball. Several of my ball players are going to be playing high school ball, either JV or varsity this year. There's a Queens team. We know the Queens. They played free in these gyms. I, as a kid, played free in these gyms for years and years and years and years until this last month. So I pulled up some things on here. This is a potential for youth to improve childhood outcomes by the Council of Economic Advisors. And it says here that if you can get girls between ages 11 and 13 to participate in sports at that age, you have a considerably better chance at them staying out of trouble and staying away from other negative aspects. Because right now, at that age, they are 8% lower participation with girls than there are boys. That being said, as a low-income school district, we have 3, the way I understand it, 3 Title I elementary schools: Washington, Lincoln, Kennedy. For our team, we have 10 players that range from, like I said, 4th to 6th grade. 7 of them either are currently in them school districts or have just went to 6th grade, which I'm to understand our middle school is not Title I, but are still living in the Title I district areas. And it says, I was able to find, physical activity rates are modest to low amongst children with lower incomes. School sports participation is much lower amongst children with family incomes below $25,000, which is not an uncommon income for our area. And also, I have some stuff saying the benefits of these teams participating in these sports. We talk about wanting to do not only for kids in the sports, but in the classroom. Our team specifically has programs with our kids where if you are a 4th and 5th grader and you bring us Student of the Month and good grades, you are rewarded. Now, it's simple as $10 in candy or whatever the case. We're not handing out giant things. And with our middle schoolers, we are explaining to them that you bring me 9 weeks grades that are A's and B's, you get the same reward. It is starting these programs, like she said, at early age right now, so that when they get into the 7th and 8th and all that through high school, we don't have kids that are ineligible and not able to play because they have never had that disciplinary deal. You don't bring grades, you don't behave in the classroom, you don't play. That's how we do. And so for participation, it is said 73% of kids that participate in sports have lower rates of anxiety and depression. higher self-esteem and confidence, a reduced risk of suicide, less substance abuse and fewer risky behaviors, increased cognitive performance and increased in creativity, improved health, increased physical levels, and overall quality of life. It helps build improved teamwork, social skills, and social responsibilities, improves educational and occupational skills, high level of academic achievement, and greater position of leadership amongst your students. So in my situation, like I said, I have 7 kids, low income. We did a fundraiser to just cover the jersey packages. It was a $1,200 jersey package. Coaches, out of our own pockets, donated $600 of that after running a fundraiser. So now we have these low income families, as Coach said, that for our tournament package to play from December to March is $145 a kid, not counting any facility fee. We're an 80% USD 353 student team. 8 in district, 1 Winfield, 1 Derby. If I'm going to ask them for $25 more a month out of some of my families that are single families raising 4 or 5 kids, single income, I might as well ask for $1 million because they ain't going to have either one of them. And now we're going to take low-income kids that are already at risk of other negative impacts and tell them the one thing you're good at and you like to do, you can't do because you can't afford to play on my team. And so, like for us, that's kind of the situation. I mean, we're right there. We looked at some stuff. We often like to compare ourselves with some of the other schools around us. We were not, because I didn't find out about this board meeting until like Friday, so I didn't get as much as I would have liked to present. But we'll go with for Belle Plaine. They described their contract for using the gyms, a non-profit organization, a group-sponsored event and directly involving USD 357 students in a broad sense, in a type of way which provides future positive assistance to USD 357 students, and is a non-school sponsored event. Also that it is a non-for-profit group, which we are not a non-for-profit. For Belle Plaine, they required that on your team, if you have 3 or more members of their school district on your team, you use their facilities for free. Winfield, as long as you're not practicing after 8 p.m. at night in their gyms and you have 1 member on your team of they let you use their facilities for free as well. I haven't got in contact with Derby, but I have heard through some people that I have that are involved in the Derby schooling that their policy on gym usage is real close to that of Winfield. And so, like she said, we're building kids here to play. No offense against Coach Adams. He's a great basketball coach. But the work for his team to be as good as they were last year started with the kids that were this young, who have been using these gyms, being coached on teams like this their whole life, so that when they got there, they are ready to compete at the level that we brought home. And most of you have either had a kid, a relative, a family member, or somebody that you know that has used these gyms for free for just this reason, to help build programs for the school district.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yep.
That is my guest speaker.
Might want to add him to the agenda next time.
But that's what it boils down to. Like, we're here to make better kids is my first and foremost, and for them to get in the gym in the off season is only gonna strengthen our program moving forward.
Agree.
Watch 8th grade team.
Yeah,
They play together forever, and they are.
There's a lot of talent coming up, and I want to be able to get my hands on them now. We ran an open gym last weekend, and one of the 6th grade moms or 7th grade mom came up and said she learned more in this hour than she. And I'm not saying anything about our middle school coaches. I'm just saying, like, I want to get my hands on these kids and start. Our practice starts the 30th of November or December 1st. So I don't know if that's time sensitive and. This land.
Okay, board discussion? Anything?
I was under the impression last month when we made this vote that we were voting for people to rent the facilities that were not USD 353. Like
Teams.
yes,
Teams,
like
right.
yes, so like, but there are students. So like like what they're bringing to us, you know, if like other school districts are saying, oh, if there's more than 3 students on the team, then it's really a Wellington team. And so I thought this was like outside teams,
Like Derby, if Derby
yes,
wanted to,
yes, was coming here to
Yeah.
rent our gym. I didn't realize we were
limiting our own,
Well, I have
Yes.
a question.
And I
So
was on the same page there.
if we do that, are you requiring them to use the Wellington name?
We do. We are the Wellington
Okay.
Slammers.
Is your basketball also?
Yep.
So they are representing
They're the
Wellington.
Wellington Queens.
Yeah, the Queens are Wellington.
yeah, I think it was,
Mhm.
and that, part of that too, it looks like we are a little bit off in comparison with other,
absolutely.
other schools that,
I talked to a lot of high school volleyball coaches that run the club, and they said that they don't pay. Clearwater and Dale.
We had Clearwater in our
competition.
stats.
It just doesn't make sense.
well,
It
and
doesn't
so I
make
think
sense.
that's probably kind of maybe what we were thinking as far as, like if Derby wanted to come here.
Like when I heard the term club volleyball, I thought it was like
Somebody else coming.
yes, all other like kind of like our wrestling tournaments, like it's these big things.
Like the
kinda-
MAYB base, you know.
Yes, that's kind of what I was envisioning when I said, "Oh, sure, yeah, let's charge for them." I didn't realize we were doing this to our own students.
Looks like Clearwater's got a fee of $150. per
Well,
day.
I talked to Coach Adrian, and she said they love me.
For
They
their
do
club.
anything for me. I said,
We love me
Great.
too.
thank you.
Has there been any issues in the past? You two were part of that meeting. Any issues in the past with facilities being damaged or?
We're new, we don't know.
You can't use that
I mean,
anymore.
I can't attest to that either.
The reality is that if they don't carry their own insurance and they get hurt there, and you guys waive that, it's on you to cover that. And Mandy practicing on the weekends, someone has to let them in and someone has to clean up after them, so you've got.
I would like to
extra
chime
custodial.
in on the gym.
Yeah, well, you have the reality to use the key card, but not
No,
everybody.
but then I don't think the janitors are paying them to.
We're not doing anything.
There's popcorn still. I'm like, what is even happening?
We did talk, I did address that, yeah.
Good.
You're good there.
Sorry, I had a
You're
little soapbox for 1 second.
Is it relevant to the board how many kids would be on that team as far as being local? I know you mentioned in your research, as long as they had one, I mean, you could potentially have a team put together. I know that doesn't affect you individually.
Yeah, in the future.
A team that comes in, as long as they pick up one Wellington person and then they can use the facility. I just didn't know if that was a relevant question, so.
Oh,
I have a
I
little-
think it's the majority.
Yeah, I think that
How
would
I
be,
feel.
I could see abusing that,
Yeah.
like, hey, we got a team from Derby,
So go grab a
go grab a Wellington kid.
Wellington just to say.
As long as they use the Wellington name,
Yeah,
that's
as long
fine.
as they claim Wellington and majority of the kids are coming.
A lot of times they just need the gym one time because they use all the teams I know use Gregory Shed at least once a week.
So
Yeah, but
timing,
now that we have 4
4
teams,
teams, yeah, that's a lot more.
timing on this, how quick are you needing a response? Cause the piece that he just brought up as far as the liability, I'd like a little bit more research on that. If we're truly,
And it's mentioned in the waiver, I mean,
Right.
in the agreement that they
Right.
carry their.
Do you have liability insurance?
I'm new to the director position. I will reach out to the past director. They have to go, we're registered through HOA, which is Heart of America Volleyball Association. Our kids have to go through a bunch of stuff. I'm not 100% sure. I can get the answer, but I don't know off the top of my head.
I personally would feel more comfortable with that answer before. I mean, I'm all about some middle ground. I think that would be a good compromise. I'm all about that, but I just wanna kinda cover bases.
Yeah, that's why we need to know a time frame of like how.
Well, when do you want rent due? I mean,
I mean, that's really the truth. I mean, as long as you're willing to push it off that we don't have to pay the rent, it's as long as you want, but otherwise, it could be as soon as, November 1st is what we were told. I mean,
Well, if you're gonna practice December 1st, not when you were, I mean, but I see why we want insurance, or we want to question that.
The other question would be how many teams, because you have just increase your athletic director's scheduling requirement as well. Because if you've got all of the rec leagues scheduled, she has 4 teams. I know you have a team,
There's
the
a
Queens team,
there's a
the-
boy MAYB team.
yeah, there's another team that rents it. So how many are you gonna allow and how much is she gonna have to schedule that? And then on the weekends, who's gonna come let them in? Cause you can't just say,
You
well,
practice on the weekends, Mandy?
because they have the
Sunday.
ability to
Sunday.
get in themselves because they have a key card, doesn't mean that they have a key card.
We do not.
So
We
they have to have
visit
somebody let them
together.
in, and that would be, I'm not gonna come let either. On
And
Saturday.
we don't practice on the weekends
So.
either.
How, this is nothing, this really isn't nothing new with the exception of we've added some more teams though, correct? This has been going on for years, so it's
Yeah,
really
we-
not gonna add,
I was just gonna say, we practice at the high school during the summer, and in the winter, we go to the middle school aux gym, and we've done it for almost 4 years now, and this is the first time we've ever had to pay.
Same with the club, so it's, I'm okay with just like personally just letting everything go like it would normally with no fees until we get this figured out.
I think, I'm concerned just like Jason with the insurance side of it,
Okay.
liability, and
Do you have liability insurance?
Yeah, we do. I wouldn't see why we.
I would think if it's hard to
I
get.
know.
can pick
Well,
it
we
up
never
for
had to get it,
expensive.
but we got it because of the contract.
Yeah.
We signed it. We didn't have it before, sorry, I don't know that piece, but I will find out.
I agree with Deanna.
I think we better back off of this. I guess waive the fees until we need to find out the insurance piece, that's the.
So.
So you just waive the fees pending they have liability insurance then?
That's.
Well, that's basically. I think we better find out the insurance question regardless of the fees.
So
Yeah.
insurance, no fees, no insurance fees.
Yeah,
Yeah, cause you'll qualify under the USD 3x3 insurance then, if you don't have insurance.
So the form has always said insurance on it.
Yeah.
So if we
Okay.
have been,
They
if
got
we
it.
have been allowing
Insurance.
teams to practice without insurance in the past, then that has not been how it's
Yeah.
set up. Like we may
They
have
got it.
waived fees in the past, but the
Because
form
it's
should
not
have still
covered.
said. That's what I'm saying. When
Okay.
when we entered this a month ago, our recommendation to you was the 250 based off of our conversation, but what we really want is just a structure to follow here so that it's not all wishy-washy like this. How I believe is no matter whether you charge a fee, you don't charge a fee, whatever, you still have to fill out the rental form fee, which has the waiver for, I mean, we've already had issues in the past of people getting hurt that shouldn't have been there, and that's an issue, and so we need to have some sort of structure with that to protect the district from, these situations. So whatever the structure is, if we can support these guys and provide a structure, then that's great. That's the middle ground as far as I'm
Who gets
concerned.
the insurance card? Who do they need to get it to?
What's
You-
that?
You guys at the district?
As far as
Insurance.
proof of insurance, yeah.
So basically what you're saying is that the verbiage has always been there about insurance. They've been practicing there, we're gonna assume that they've had insurance, or.
Again, yeah, I'm sorry.
But that's always been a checkbox, I think, on the form, is the onus on us to make sure we're getting proof of that. I mean, it's always been free, but it's always been unstructured too, and it might have just depended on what team you were, as opposed if you knew somebody that had a key to get in. And that's just, it was always unstructured, and I know we did our best to get scheduling done, but it wasn't always scheduled.
Can I say something? I'm not gonna lie, the first time that we ever signed the contract was this year when he had brought it to my attention. And we've, like I said, this is our 4th year doing this.
Yep.
And so with him saying it, like wishy-washy,
Right.
definitely was, and so.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, and I appreciate you being honest about that, because that's what I'm trying to fix here. So
Yeah.
I believe we
Well,
already
I'm
have
glad
board
they do
policy
is trying to
regarding
make it
use
so,
of school
you know,
buildings.
if that
It's
should have been
pretty
done, it was never followed up, so,
open,
thank you.
because I was
Yep.
looking at
Like,
Okay, so.
And again, I appreciate the structure. For me, you just have, I'm trying to build something.
Sure, no.
Yeah, and that's where I'm coming from.
So are we ready to say that we're, go by the old policy until we But we need,
So,
we're gonna ask.
proof of insurance.
Proof of insurance, everything, that's what we have to have.
So
Okay,
basically,
so
the problem is last month we voted this into existence with a board vote. We have to essentially make a motion to unvote this and then regroup on this later like we've done everything else tonight.
So I would make a motion that we waive the fee for facility use for competition teams, provided that the majority of the members on the team are Wellington students. The team claims the Wellington name, and the team can provide proof of liability insurance.
Good job.
That was great.
I like that. I second that.
Okay, got a motion and a second. Russ, I'm gonna ask for a little direction on this, since I wasn't at that meeting where it was voted on. I think I'm going to not vote, because I can't unvote something that was voted on by the board that I wasn't participating on at the time, I think. If I'm wrong in that, I apologize, but I don't think my vote's gonna matter, so that's the direction I'm gonna go. So, got a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise their hand. All those opposed, raise their hand.
Now I have a question. Anyone who already paid their fees, are they gonna get those reimbursed?
Yeah. Oh, you mean fees
Has anybody already?
Yes.
this month that came up
Yes.
from because of this? Yes, we can do
Okay.
that. Yes. But
They meet all the criteria.
if the
Yes,
yes.
okay.
And then you're gonna bring back to us something that we can maybe
We
deal
can
with at a
continue the
future-
discussion.
We do need to tweak, obviously, the rates. I think
Yeah.
the rates are out of line with other.
But I think we need something there. I mean, if
Yes.
I agree.
we gotta, I mean, if we have a custodian come in and open up the building, we need to compensate that custodian. That doesn't need to just be just.
But I
That
do
custodian
agree.
has to stay and lock it up as well, and
Right.
make sure they're all
Correct.
gone.
Correct.
And maybe that rate is okay since we're waiving it for Wellington
Kayla, you're good because you're
nominated teams.
Is
that
the-
we can-
Is the nutcracker just like this? Cause no, it's
No,
come
yeah.
to you.
Yeah.
during the week, you're fine.
So-
Yeah,
Yeah, we have those come to us all the time as far as waiving fees, and that's a board decision on a per case by case basis.
I didn't
This
know.
is a little bit different since it's ongoing, you know.
I think the
per
motion
capita
was
week.
competition teams.
Yeah.
It was.
Okay.
Yes.
Competition teams.
Everybody clear on it? I think I am.
Yes.
Thank you.
I will
Appreciate it.
figure
Thank
out
you.
the liability
All right.
insurance.
Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Okay, next thing we have is Narcan administration. I think I saw Officer Wiley back there.
Yes, Officer Wiley's here, and Holly.
Oh, I do not have a big presentation for you unless Officer Wiley does.
Shouldn't he?
There you go. Mostly because it's just kind of talking points that we wanted to go over. I think you got a copy of the policy that we were kind of working on. I'm sure you guys have all heard in the news, unfortunately, the rise of deaths from opioid overdoses and everything. And so we were wanting to look into getting that Narcan policy started. Any ideas that you guys might have or thoughts on that policy so that we can get Narcan in our schools and available to our employees after they've been trained to be able to use in the event that we have any kind of overdose that they need that. So that the policy kind of goes over step by step, what they would have, what they would have to go through in order to use that. Some of the things we've done, there is a group that you can get Narcan from free. Unfortunately, they're out right now, so we can't get that. I am on a waiting list just in case that would come back up. But I'm also looking for some grants and stuff to be able to get that funded too, and to get cabinets to put that Narcan in.
This is kind of a bigger question than just the Narcan piece, but do you have medical direction that gives you the authority to do that stuff, or where is that?
So for Narcan specifically, with the new statutes, you actually do not have to have the medical director.
Okay.
They've passed that to where anybody can actually go to the pharmacy and get that.
Okay.
There's a little bit of specific stuff, but as a school nurse, I can go get that. If there's somebody that you think has the possibility of having an overdose, you can get those. So we can have those and put them in our schools because of that.
Even administering to someone else? Cause I know
Correct.
you can
It
go
kind
get
of-
that to administer yourself,
No,
but.
you can administer to somebody else.
Okay.
It falls to some extent, it falls under the Good Samaritan law, like if, obviously not if you would get it, if you still have your license, but
Right, I do.
yeah. So if somebody else were to get that,
they would fall under the Good Samaritan law. And that's why the top part of that policy is written kind of the way it is. Now, if I were to give it, I would not fall into that, but
Right.
somebody else would. And so that's how that falls under that.
Are you looking at wanting the injectable or the nasal spray?
It would be the nasal spray.
From what I read, if you administer Narcan to someone who's not having an overdose, no harm, no foul.
Essentially, yep.
Okay.
It's a very, very rare chance that somebody would be allergic to say. Essentially, the only side effects from Narcan is your withdrawal to that opiate. That versus death.
I read school districts across the nation are doing this.
Yes, it is a very wide policy now. In fact, one of the big things in 2019, 50,000 people died from opioid overdoses, and they said, one of the things that surprised me, 1 in 3 they thought had bystanders there, and they didn't have Narcan available. So the chances of many of those people being saved is pretty great. So it literally, I don't know if you've seen what the nasal spray looks like, but it literally is just a little plastic thing like this. You would put your fingers on it, put it up their nose and spray it. That's all there is to it.
Where would you have them with the
So-
other AED?
Yeah, so my thought is where our AED cabinets are, and this would go in with kind of what I'm looking for grant funding. We would get new AED cabinets, a little bit bigger, and they would go right in with those cabinets. And so they have the alarms on them to where if the door was pulled, that alarm would sound.
And this is every school?
Every school, which would include Sumner County Academy, also here, and every building in the district.
Including the elementaries?
Including the elementaries.
That's what I was getting
Unfortunately,
at.
we have adults that come in our buildings,
Yep.
and so it can happen surprisingly to anybody. Staff,
Fentanyl's pretty white motherfucker.
I think one of the things I read, so they did a study between January 31st, 2020 and January 31st, 2021, overdose deaths involving primarily fentanyl, rose 55.6%. So, I mean, imagine. And it happens, it happens to people that you never would have thought it would happen to. These are, in like teenagers and stuff, these are good kids. These are kids that are going to colleges. These are kids that have straight A's. These are people that you never dream because they're lacing things with fentanyl to get them addicted. So they don't know they're taking them sometimes. So it's not the normal kid that you may think is going to overdose. So it's people that you don't assume. And so that's why we need to be prepared. That's why if we have fentanyl there, we can save lives. Narcan, sorry. Thank you.
Please don't have that.
No, I do not want to. So even if we can save one life, yeah. I mean, and unfortunately, like it or not, the chance of us saving a life with this is pretty high. I pray that we never would have to use it, but realistically, I wouldn't be surprised if we would.
Law enforcement officers carry it, I carry it. I have seen it save lives, she probably has. I probably owe a medal to the EMT that administered it to the person I was doing CPR. It may have been the Narcan that saved it. It saves lives.
And honestly, so I was talking to Dr. McHugh to get some information, and I was also looking at another policy, and I don't know, they have board and brush in Wichita. She said they had a guy walking into board and brush, literally in the parking lot, collapsed right in the parking lot. Luckily, there happened to be 2 nurses walking in at the same time, pulled out fentanyl out of their pocket, happened to have it in their pocket. Gosh, you're great, excuse me. Happened to have the Narcan in their pocket, pulled it out, and saved their life right then. Had they not been there carrying it, he would have been dead. I mean, it's that, the chances you just don't know. But it's happening that frequently, and it's happening everywhere.
You heard all around Halloween how it was in candy and blah, blah, blah,
Right.
blah. So, just say your kid just eats a candy bar with, I mean, what do you look for?
Honestly,
I watch
so
TV a lot and I see all the shows and.
chances of that, and Les Officer Wiley disagrees with me, chances are a lot of that's not true. I mean, they put it in a lot of things in order to get you addicted. Now, putting it in candy where they're not gonna see it. But there's a lot of symptoms, and a lot of those are in the policy, that's why I included those in there. But whether it's, the shallow breathing, a lot of times they're gonna be unresponsive when it gets to that point. You may notice
they get really pale, all that kind of stuff. And if you, I don't know if you have the policy right there, but it kind of goes through all of it. So, yeah, just when they're unresponsive, anything like that, you may notice just the gurgling in their breathing, the blueness, the shallow breaths, their pulse, if you get to the point of that taking that, is going to be kind of erratic or really slow. And so one thing when we do that, we will train the staff. My thought was to put a video, we do that training at the beginning of the year where they watch the different videos on safe schools. So we would put that where they all have to watch that, so we would know that they did that. And then Kaylee and I would go to the schools for their beginning of the year training and then be able to talk to them face to face and go over different things with them.
So a teacher could go get that also, they
Correct.
would have access.
Correct. I honestly would like to have all the staff trained.
Yeah.
So have anybody available. Unless there's a difference of opinion, I think honestly, the more we have trained, because like you said, the chances of an adverse reaction are minimal. Aside from them having the reversal of the opioid effect, so.
So Adam, what do you need from us? Cause this says possible policy language. So
Yeah, this was just starting discussion tonight, so
Okay.
I can bring this back to you in a fuller form next month. We're just trying to see if you want anything adapted on there, if there's anything that, just giving Holly and Troy feedback on this.
I think based from the discussion, you definitely have the support.
Yeah.
I didn't read it, I just knew.
Okay.
We'll bring something final next month then.
Okay.
Work?
Thanks.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You are welcome.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
WRC board member.
Yes, Cody is here this evening. You wanna chat about this? Jump on
Not
up.
really a whole lot to chat about.
Uh,
We have one applicant.
So Tammy McHugh has been on the rec board for a long time, and she was the only one that reapplied to be on the rec board, and so they are recommending her to serve another term. So, well said.
Words out of my mouth.
Yes.
I mean, is there any reason to delay on this?
No.
I make a motion that we approve Tammy McHugh to be added to the WRC board.
I'll second.
Okay, I got a motion and a second. I will, as a point of discussion, I've said this for I don't know how many years, Cody? 8, 7, something like that. I personally would like to see board representation on the rec board. I just think since we're the funding entity, I think it'd be nice to have board representation there. Definitely, we all get a lot of irons in the fire at times, so I definitely understand, not wanting to get one other thing on your plate, but I just would like to see that eventually. So I've got 3 more years left on the board here, but we'll see if I can get that across the finish line.
I agree with you, Jason, and the fact that there was only one candidate that
Right.
applied. So
Right.
I
Totally agree.
I agree with you, but it's
Totally agree.
anyway. I'll second, or you second.
I already got a motion and a second. I just kind of threw a curveball. So all those in favor, raise their hand. All those opposed, same sign. Okay. Thanks, Cody.
Thanks, Cody.
You should have been first.
I was
on the
gonna
agenda.
say.
Well,
I wasn't supposed to be here. I was supposed to be.
Yeah, Cody told me he wasn't gonna be here, so I shoved him down the agenda, and then he sent me one late today saying he was gonna be here, so I told him.
A lot of good stuff though, thank you.
Okay, next thing on the agenda is policy update.
Okay, this is Russ's time to shine.
Oh,
He's
boy.
been here for a few months, so I'm putting him on the spot. So we had a policy committee a couple weeks ago now, and have been discussing some different options. I know policy organization and things have been a discussion around here recently, and so the policy committee is currently working on options to make that better for the board and the community. But the June policy updates are available to discuss tonight from KSB, and so I'm gonna let Russ run with that.
So we met a couple weeks ago, reviewed the KSB June policy updates. A lot of the stuff it looked like was crossed out, moved from one section to the other. It took us a little time to kind of figure that out, but we agreed on just 3 sections that needed to be slightly amended, and I'll run over those just real quick. The section BDA, which is developing, adopting, amending, and repealing board policy. Under the subheader of historical policy files, and this is basically just a word change. It says the clerk shall keep an historical set of board policies. Andrea and we all thought that it should say a, just to make it sure it's correct. So that's all on that one. Section FC, which is memorials, funerals, and naming of district facilities. Under the subheading funerals and memorial services in district facilities, it says the superintendent shall handle requests for funerals and memorial services. And we felt that we needed a little bit addition to that sentence, and we would add at the end of that, and will notify the board of those requests. And on section GCIA, the evaluation of coaches and sponsors, it says all employees contracted to coach or sponsor an activity shall be evaluated annually. And the committee thought it needed a little more clarification as to when these evaluations should take place. And we felt that they should take place after the sports season as opposed to the end of the school year. So we would just add some verbiage in there to add that in. But that's really all we came up with all of the updates from the June policy update, so.
But we're gonna start meeting and go through the whole.
Yes, we are. I've noticed a lot of, just over the last couple months, I've been going through and comparing what we have online for our policy and what I have in the big books, and they're not matching up. And I'm finding sections of the book that looks like maybe they were getting ready to be updated that hasn't gotten updated. So we're gonna start meeting, going through each section and trying to get it all kind of reorganized again. So
It is gonna take a lot of time and it's gonna be very labor intensive, I feel like.
Yeah.
So we really need just a lot of patience, I guess, as we work through all of this.
Yeah. What we'd like to do is go section by section. We get the one section done, bring it to the board, go, okay, we've got it all organized and fixed, and put that before you guys, and then we'll move on to the next one, and we'll just keep going till we get it done.
And then transfer that to a better online format than we have now.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other discussion on that? Good work from the policy committee. Do we want to adopt those changes, or do we wanna?
Yeah, we need to adopt the changes.
I think we would recommend that those changes would be adopted.
I'll make a motion to adopt the changes they presented.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise their hand. All those opposed, same sign. Okay. Next item is restructuring plan.
I think we already took care of that
Yeah, I
earlier in
think
the
we already
meeting.
got that, yeah. So moving on, administrative reports.
You guys were talking earlier.
Things are going good.
Yeah.
Drinking from a fire hydrant, but I feel like, we're making some improvements, so. They were making fun of me on my board report that I said too much in there, I guess.
He was there.
I'm sorry.
It's not.
Okay.
Can I ask a question, Ellen?
Sure.
Have you guys had any complaints about your lunches, lunch
service?
So we had just a hiccup at the beginning of the year.
Nothing lately?
No, nothing lately. The kids are, at least at my school, are excited about the food that they're eating and like it. So much that you have to tell them can't buy right before they go back to class. So that's good.
There has been some managing issues at a school that has been addressed recently. And so hopefully, I don't know if it is from lack of people working and trying to get product out there for the students to keep the flow going, but we're addressing it with Chartwells to see what they can do to set that up a little bit.
Is eighth grade getting the same, are they running out of food by the time eighth grade gets there? That's what I hear a lot.
There's been a few challenges, yeah, so I actually reached out, to Angie, but yes, there's been a few challenges.
So out of nacho cheese, they just sprinkled shredded cheese on it, and yeah, here a while back, they were just handed frozen chicken patties that they microwaved. But they, I mean,
That part I'm not aware of, but I know there's, cause Brian and myself, we work the lunches and stuff, but I know they've had a few staffing issues, and like I said, I've reached out to Angie and Kelly as well, and so we're addressing that, but yeah, there has been a few issues.
it's just like by the time the eighth grade gets there, they're kinda out of the food. I don't know if you're eighth graders.
Elementary is going really well. They love Chartwells.
The food quality is really good. I mean,
They did a little
it's lot better.
discovery chef the other day, where they came in and did a demonstration and then gave out samples, teach kids how to cook something.
Cool.
What somebody brought something to the superintendent's council about the lunches, what was that?
Yeah, there was discussion, it was staffing issues, and it's been more that, but I think it's school to school. I mean, I think some schools are more positive. I haven't heard a lot negative about the food at all. It's been
Yeah,
more
not the food, it's just running out of food.
staffing things, but yeah, I hadn't heard that either, like Bob, so we have to.
If they don't have enough money in their account and there's, because this can't be true, if they don't have enough money in their account when they're standing there with the tray, they don't dump it.
Oh, no.
I just can't, nobody would do that, okay. I know.
No.
I know, like, oh, you don't have any money?
I would be mortified.
I know, okay, I just.
I can
And
assure
then
you that has not happened.
And if they don't, they do have something there for them. They'll have a ham or turkey sandwich along with a vegetable and a fruit.
But do they take their tray? I mean.
There's actually by
law they're supposed to.
Yeah. If they're negative
Yeah,
by
yeah, I got
what
like
we've
that, I know.
adopted.
Hopefully we get it caught before then, 'cause
Right,
that's not a good
right.
feeling.
And it's
Well-
mainly at the upper levels where they just get in the line and go through,
Yeah,
and
they
then
don't
they
know.
get to the POS, and then
So
it's
then they
like,
don't know
oh,
until they
you're,
get their mom to give them money.
Okay, I guess moving on to executive sessions. Executive session for legal matters.
I'll make a motion that we go into executive session to discuss legal matters for 15 minutes to include Adam Hatfield and the executive team. The regular meeting will resume at 8:02 p.m.
Got a motion?
I'll second.
Got a second? All those in favor raise your hand. All those opposed, same. Okay. We going down the hall?
Did you want these back?
No, that's
Yes, no?
Mail.
Russ, do you need one of those packets? You may grab one.
I could see somebody walking up to
Okay, so if I have another account open, which I have 3 accounts,
They can get one thing.
that's why I don't like Google.
It's cloud stuff.
Now we're back in session. I got 802 there and 80, okay, I'm 802.
There we go. Okay, we're back in open session. No decisions were made, and now we have another executive session.
I make a motion that we go into executive session to discuss personnel for 10 minutes to include Adam Hatfield and the administrative team. The regular meeting will resume at 8:13 p.m.
Motion and a second. All those in favor raise their hand. All those opposed, same.
You know, you're really good at making motions. I'm gonna start finding those out. I'm just gonna slip you the sticky note next time.
she doesn't know who she is.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
all.
yeah.
It's
She-
all-
We were one tradition,
It's
like
hard to
she
tell
was
because
actually
of
Wednesday.
Thanksgiving.
Yeah, so like if she's
We
walked in
didn't
as
get
a
it, but we
junior,
finished, we tried to have repeats.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah, it's just not
an
tall enough
opportunity
yet,
for you. You
so.
gotta renew them every year, you gotta reapply every year. It's not
Nothing
like
Anyway.
Nothing new.
Oh, it's insane, yeah.
You guys available Monday the 5th?
We're up on regular time.
Are we? Yep. We're back in regular session. No action was taken, and we're moving on to the consent agenda.
So, approve the minutes of the October 10th meeting and approve payroll and bills. Payroll $1,193,570.99. Bills $714,761.23. And personnel, approved new hires. Elizabeth Rebold, para at the middle school. Chandra Porner, para at the middle school. Krista Sellers, para at the high school. Michael Rodriguez, para at the high school. Approve resignations. Emma Raines, para Eisenhower. Jennifer Rivers, sped at the high school. Margarita Barnett, ESL at the district level, and Nancy Burton, para Lincoln.
Okay.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor raise their hand. All those opposed, same. Moving on, board member comments.
Can I go first?
You absolutely can.
Thank you.
Stand up.
I'm gonna stand up, I'm gonna take the floor and everything.
That's awesome.
So really out of my comfort zone to do this, so just if I'm like shaky or nervous, just bear with me, please.
You look pretty comfortable.
I'm prepared.
That's right.
Let's see what we got. Okay. First thing, everybody, like I said, I'm out of my comfort zone, I'm gonna get you out of yours. Take your 3 fingers like this, make the okay sign in your hand. Okay. Put it on your chin. Put it on your chin. Okay. Let me tell you, I learned this from Craig Zablocki, okay, at the KASB annual conference in Wichita this past weekend. I attended it with Adam and Daniel, and it was really enjoyable. I had such a great time, and I learned a whole lot. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about it, okay? So Craig's message on Friday was hysterical, it was informative. He opened with that demonstration and a couple of others that really got us thinking about how the things that we do in this room are just as important as the decisions that we make. So we may not be always doing the things that, are whatever, not that important. Okay, so we're modeling our behavior and our actions to our public and even to the students that we make these decisions for. Saturday breakfast was followed by an update by Dr. Randy Watson, the Commissioner of Education. He challenged districts to achieve 95% graduation rate and reduce the chronic absenteeism, 25% statewide chronic absenteeism. I'm just going to get us the numbers on what our district is currently for those 2 things.
I can send those out. Yeah, that was my fault.
So after breakfast, we had our choice of many breakout sessions. Lots. So a lot of them, and I'm one person. Adam went with me into all of mine. Daniel picked a couple of different ones, but there was a lot, and we could only go to one. So that was kind of sad. But we picked one that helped us learn more about some of the legal responsibility we have in this room, or that we do on a board. And we picked another one that taught us the importance of getting good data and using it to make good decisions. At lunchtime, I grabbed a box lunch and headed down to the delegate assembly where I represented our district and used our vote to help elect Tina Ray Scott as the president-elect designee for the KSB board for 2024. In the afternoon, we visited a trade show we picked up packets from a booth that may be able to provide us a quote for the roof. And we saw a demonstration of an anatomy table that was really cool. And they have a grant that's possibly available for it that might cover the whole cost of it. We're going to send some more information to Adam. He provided his email. From there, we went and heard about how 2 school districts in Kansas were successful in passing bond issues. It was really cool how their processes were similar but different and worked for their communities. Finally, we heard from Rachel Russell, who was a first-year board member, just like me, 11 months in. She's in Kansas City, USD 500, and she talked to us about the ways that we can help recruit our next board member. And the role that we play today in making sure that the person that replaces us is successful. What stood out to me about her presentation was how supportive her fellow board members were. They were all there. And how great of an experience she seems to be having. They are a team in an environment where it's easy to feel isolated. In the future, Adam hopes to find us some team building retreats or some training so we can be a more effective board too. We don't always have to agree, and we shouldn't. That's not what I'm saying. But we should be able to trust each other enough with our ideas and our opinions. And I'm not sure that we are all able to do that now. To end the conference, we heard from a speaker that has performed at the White House, in Madison Square Garden, and on Saturday Night Live. He's a rock star with a family full of prime ministers and investment bankers. And he's the guitarist of one of Daniel's favorite bands from 1997, Hanson. Today,
This is 8 o'clock on a Sunday morning.
No, it's still on the CD.
Today, that gentleman, whose name is Ravi, is a cultural diplomat. He travels the world teaching music and uniting classrooms. He has a project called Ravi Unites, where he connects classrooms in China to classrooms in Brazil, or classrooms in Australia to classes in Canada. He's breaking cultural barriers, and it'll be exciting to see if he's able to help us in our district at all. So what I want you to do now is take out your calendar and mark down November 10th through 12th, 2023, and let's all go to the to the state convention for board members, please. Because it was fun. And that's all I have.
Did they send out an email for that? I didn't.
Yeah, they did.
I must have missed it. Yeah.
I got
December,
multiple ones, like,
I
it's
didn't
not too
realize
late
it
to
was like a-
register, and then like, hey, today's the last day to register.
Oh, I'm not getting all that stuff.
Cool, good job.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was good.
I don't think so.
I've asked for
I'm
retreats
missing
for like 3 or 4 years. and we haven't
Yeah,
done
we
it.
haven't had a retreat
I've asked
since we
for one,
started.
haven't I?
Yeah.
Like 3 or 4 years.
Well, there was
ago,
COVID.
We haven't had
Well,
it.
Yeah, it was cool. Okay, let's back up. Pat,
Okay.
what do you got?
What did the facilities committee figure out about the windows with cold air in the office? Did you guys talk about that last time?
Yeah, I did. And he's supposed to get us readings, but I haven't seen anything on it yet. For temperature wise.
I think they ordered thermal blocks, like you guys have requested. I think that's what Kelly said in the last meeting, but I can check on it. Mike was sitting right there, so
Yeah, that's what I was just curious about, because it's gonna be winter. Last year they
I
had
know
those
that's
on.
been a.
And can is it possible to get like a report from the superintendent's council, what people bring to you, or is that confidential?
No, it's not confidential at all.
And then, football season was really great. I just wanted to share how much the kids loved football this year, the coach. Jack just specifically says first time he's learned anything about football. I mean, he just was a basketball guy, and he's played football, but he actually learned, some things and sort of miss it. And it was nice that he brought the kids together like a real team and brought the spirit. And so I think, thank him for a nice season.
Yeah.
Too bad it's over. That's it.
Oh, yeah, it's like kind of compound on it. We had a lot of kids go to state. Brandon, congratulations.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We had tennis and cross country. So yeah, it was really good showing this year in the early sports.
Well, that's what I was gonna say, and then, congratulate, e-gaming is going fantastic, that's
Right.
really
Yeah,
exciting.
yeah.
High school and middle school, so it's really cool.
People's kids have something to do, I mean, they wouldn't be doing anything otherwise.
Yeah, well, my son's in sixth grade, there's nothing other than
Yeah.
rec sports, but.
I guess my biggest thing would be start thinking about your board leadership or positions as far as president, vice president. That is coming up in January.
Oh.
So be thinking about that. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, I'll do a reminder next month too.
I was gonna do the cross country. My daughter took 60th, so it was a pretty good course.
Yeah, it's awesome.
The boys and the girl represent Wellington well.
Cool.
Don't have anything.
Okay. Thanks everybody for coming, and we are adjourned.
Thank you.
Nice.